So welcome everyone. Today we have Christy Cowens, a UFO researcher, executive member of MUFON in Orange County, and CE5 leader. And Gary Spake with us as well, executive member of MUFON in Orange County. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to Ely Pazur. Ely holds a Bachelor of Science in Neuroscience with a focus on counseling and therapy. He's also a meditation coach and serves as a CE5 coordinator in Southern California. In 2020, Ely founded Cosmic Gatherings, a contact group dedicated to exploring cosmic connections. Ely is not just a coordinator, he is a cosmic ambassador and starseed dedicated to illuminating the world and the individuals he collaborates with. His mission is to uplift others. Please welcome Ely Pazur. How are you
Hi, everyone.
today?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for being here. And I'm going to start with something that I hear. Okay. I hear this story, Ely, from a friend of yours. I won't say names. So the tale goes like this. Your father recounted the incredible story of Moses receiving the Torah on Mount Sinai from an extraordinary being called God. And all the knowledge and wisdom inscribed on this remarkable scroll were brought from somewhere else, suggesting that this knowledge did not originate from planet Earth. This implies that the being traveled from elsewhere else, so opening the possibility of referring to it as extraterrestrial. So what are your thoughts on this, Ely? I know it's kind of crazy, but that's what I hear.
No, it's okay. So let's kind of go back to my thoughts when my father first told me this. This was when I was in high school, around my sophomore year. It was a Passover night. For those not familiar with the holiday, Passover is a traditional Jewish holiday where we celebrate the the Jewish people coming out of Egypt. And it was during that time where Moses received the Ten Commandments on top of Mount Sinai on the peninsula, which is modern day Egypt and Israel today. So during that Passover Seder on the way home, my father just casually said, "Hey, there's a theory that Moses received the Ten Commandments from aliens." And that's it. He just left it there, point blank. He has no background, no experiences with UFOs or ETs or anything like that in his past. He just said it nonchalantly, and I've always been curious minded. So, I questioned him. I said, "Well, what do you mean? We just had this entire, Passover dinner. What does that mean exactly?" So that intrigued me. I wasn't just okay letting that go. So that's what started my research into everything: ufology, ancient history, mythology. I took many courses during my college years to just study the ancient past, and also the ancient astronaut theory that was also put together by Eric von Daniken. So I explored that as well, and just that really propelled my studies, and it led me to where I am today. And I went down the rabbit hole quite quick.
It's the first time that I hear something connected. Well, not the first time, but from a very personal, like a friend like you, hearing this and connecting, I think through history, if you see and check the history of the Aztecs, the Mayan culture, all these civilizations, they always claim that someone came from heaven, and visit them, right? And sometimes we do the connection of extraterrestrials, right? But in that connection, it is the term God as well. God came, right? So from somewhere else. So it's very interesting, like your father shared this to you. So from that on, is like you start like doing the search, researching all this. And now how do you feel about it?
It's a
What
great question. So yeah, if I can elaborate. So when Moses ascended on Mount Sinai, he received the Ten Commandments from the God Yahweh. Yahweh was the name that the Jewish people gave this God. And my understanding has definitely shifted. My beliefs have definitely shifted over the years. What I can tell you are different theories that researchers believe, people who studied what happened. Some people do believe that it was extraterrestrials who bestowed the tablets upon Moses. And there's stories in the Bible that say that when Moses descended from Mount Sinai, that his hair turned white, that he was in shambles, that there was great roaring and a rumbling in the sky, that the sky was filled with fire that descended upon the mountain. So some researchers have just pointed out it could have just been ancient volcanic activity that guided the Israelites to Mount Sinai for Moses to go ahead and perhaps write the tablets himself. That's one theory. Another theory is that ETs came down and shared the tablets. And just so if I can just elaborate a little bit further, the Jewish people are commonly referred to as one of the first monotheistic religions in the world. However, it's more classified under Henoism, a henotheistic religion, which is essentially a people's declaring one God as their supreme God, as in there is many gods, and a select group of people are choosing to follow one particular God, in this case, Yahweh. So you can see how there's many different theories what happened on Mount Sinai, but the truth is that something incredible happened. And you have to look at further details of in the Torah, in the Bible, of what really points to the connection between us and the star people.
Very interesting. But you mentioned 10 Commandments. Isn't that like I mean, we received 5 books over there, right? Not just, I mean.
Yes, you have the 5 books starting with Genesis, yes, and going through Exodus, which talks more about what happened with the Israelis or the Israelites people coming out of Egypt. So yeah, but the 10 Commandments, you also have to look at the time frame of where we were astrologically. And for your viewers watching or the panelists, I highly recommend looking into a lot of work by Jordan Maxwell. He talks about essentially the ancient cosmology and astrology that took place from one shift in major religion in the world to the next shift. So prior to the time of Moses receiving the 10 Commandments, it was the age of Taurus. And the Jewish people at the time did believe in idol worship. And they had idols of the golden bull, and that was to signify the age of Taurus. But we were coming out of the age of Taurus at that time. So that's when the shift actually occurred.
Very interesting. Gary and Christy, do you have questions?
Well, I kind of went down the rabbit hole with Zachariah Sitchin because a lot of the stuff that he wrote about talked about the same thing, that there was one of the gods, which we call lowercase g, Enki, Enlil, Marduk, those people, who was basically guiding his people, and who I think were the ones out of Israel, out of Egypt, the Jewish people, for that 40 years. He was really the alien that was doing that. And so this whole thing of the ages changing from the bull to the ram, which would be the next one, that type of thing. These were talked about in Zachariah's books, The 12th Planet, and then especially the other one. What was the one that was really good? Anyway, one of his other books that gives us the whole lineup of what happened with the ancients and who was controlling things at that moment. And then the fight between them, who was going to control the people in that Fertile Crescent area, was the big thing. So, Sitchin really got me down the rabbit hole. And then, of course, I found other stuff that was there that made sense as far as me thinking that somebody else had something to do with us humans in the ancient past.
If I elaborate just on what Gary said there, Gary, it might be the Lost Book of Enki. Is that the one?
Yes, that was the one.
Yeah, that's a fascinating read, and it goes into the details a lot. And he talks about the Anunnaki, I believe, is where that term is really coined. So yeah, Sitchin's work is also what threw me down the rabbit hole as well. I think a lot of people kind of went down the rabbit hole, starting with Sitchin.
Interesting. And Eli, sorry, I keep changing the languages.
It's okay. It's okay.
So,
So do we as peoples.
Excuse me.
so um, we do a lot of connections, C5 and a lot of connections. So have you had any encounters, or how can you put it, with an ET, UFO, or something like that? Can you share, what are your experiences?
Yes. So really the contact started initiating when I started practicing my meditation. Shortly in my college years, I started to, dabble more into the chakras, being peace of mind. And during my studies in neuroscience, it's kind of a catch-22. I was studying the brain, but it was only when I learned to forget everything I was learning and just let the brain do what it was doing that my brain clicked. And from there, it just became so much more evolutionary in my meditations. But the short answer is I started receiving messages in my dreams. That was what I believe would be my first introductory form of contact. These are dreams that I can remember till this day. I recommend having dream journals for people that are starting their contact work or just meditation work in general. So that's where it first started. But you can say that it actually was something that started before I even incarnated on this planet. But from my first recollection, it would be in the dream state, even other dreams that I had previously before I started my meditation journey. But that's when the contact really started to occur. And then the physical manifestations started to appear shortly after that. I've seen beautiful craft all over the world, different places during daytime and nighttime. We can elaborate on that further if you want.
Yes, I'm very impressed you say dreams. That's what happened with me. I have a very vivid dreams. And actually I like you, I keep a journal of my dreams, and I get a lot of details information, but sometimes I consider them dreams, right? Like sometimes I don't know how to translate, things that happen over there into the to this how can I put it, this reality where we are awake. I sometimes I feel like our body, our essence travels when we sleep, right? And then when we get up, we are another person. So we are like two beings in just one body, but we actually have a specific works, during the daytime or nighttime. I don't know how can I put it, but it seems something like that. And it is amazing. Like through my dreams, I see a lot of people, all the people that we met through since we were little kids, they start showing up, like appearing in my dreams. It's just kind of amazing how we can retain so many information, but that's in our dreams, people comes and interact with us. But you mentioned something very powerful, meditations. Which kind of meditations do you do? What is your technique? Because there's so many ways to meditate, everybody has their own style and stuff. What do you do for meditation?
Well, the very first thing I did was also an interesting story. I was suffering a lot of anxiety back when I was younger, and I didn't want to be on medication my whole life. And there was a beautiful hillside near my parents' home where I was at the time, and I decided to go take a hike into nature, about a 20-minute hike into these beautiful hills. I sat on top of a stone bench that was there, and I didn't know anything about meditation other than what I read was that you monitor your breathing and you stay in this kind of peaceful state of mind. So that's what I tried to do. I was out there for about 20, what felt like 2 hours, but it was probably 20 minutes on top of that hill. The sun was beating on me, bugs were eating me, and I was in such a rage that day. I was having a lot of stress and anxiety for that time in my life. But after those 20 minutes and I came down that hill, I was a new person, and I knew this was something I was going to stick with my whole life. So that's what started it. But then as I got older, I started to meet a lot of people in college, and I was, hearing stories of their meditation experiences and chakras. And you hear these words, but until you actually go and explore it yourself, they're just words. Until you experience it, then it's a reality. So I started reading books. One in particular is literally called Astral Travel, and that really started my journey. It's a book, I think, written in the 70s. And in this book, it teaches you the process of going through each chakra, and then eventually you produce an astral body, which is a substance that you can then project your consciousness into and explore all the realms. Oh,
Yes.
excuse me, low battery. But yeah, that's essentially what started it. I started to explore the inner chakras, and I did meet my spirit guides, and I did explore through astral travel. And from there, it just progressed even further into more dream work, more contact work, crystals, crystal skulls, ETs, past life regression. It just went on and on.
Excellent. Christy, I know you love meditations.
Oh yeah,
So,
so Eli, I can totally relate to your experience. So trying to figure out how to navigate those turbulent waters of anxiety when it hits, I used to suffer anxiety attacks and they just come out of nowhere. And I did find myself on a camping trip, and I was angry at God. I mean, I knew that there was a God, but I was like a rebellious little child. Things aren't going my way. You don't love me. So why aren't you there for me? And I was throwing a brat fit. So I went up on this hill up in the mountains, and the sun was shining so beautifully. I just sat on this rock, and I wasn't even trying to meditate. I was just trying to get calm. And all of a sudden, this incredible peace came over my whole being. And all of a sudden, I knew that God was real, and I knew that God existed. And I just felt him there with me. And like he was hugging me and comforting me and just validating, yes, I'm here. Yes, I know that you're hurting, and you're going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. And that was just such an overwhelming confirmation that we need to spend time in meditation and prayer, that it completely validated that that's what I need to do, is spend time meditating. So now I don't get totally militant about it. You know, if I can only do 10 minutes a day, I can only do 10 minutes a day. You know, other days, if I can do half an hour, better yet. But the point is to make it a habit, you know, like brushing your teeth and all the other many habits that we have.
yes, meditation is a wonderful. I miss our CE5 gatherings as well, you know, with our meditations. That another question that I have for you, Eli, it is sometimes we deal with skepticism, you know, criticism. Our friends, our, you know, people, they have another view of reality. They, you know, they see things in a different way. So how do you deal with this when sharing your beliefs? You know, some people that do not believe, you know, what you see, what you feel, you know. So how do you deal with this?
Yeah. Well, skepticism is healthy. So it's good to be a skeptic, but I don't think it's healthy to be a denialist. A denialist will just simply flat out not believe anything because they don't wish to. A skeptic will not believe it until they believe otherwise, or shown other facts or experiences until they believe it. So I welcome skeptics. I do. If anything, I enjoy it because it's almost this level of resistance that is like a part of myself. In a way, it's almost a mirroring. But at the same time, you want to approach any skeptic, whether it's a friend, a family member, a stranger, with a way of calm, just being calm around them and really explaining your story and just going about it that way, saying, look, this is my story. This is my experience. I don't need you to believe it in order to validate my own experience. If anything, just hear what I have to say as a story. Maybe you get something from it. Maybe you don't. And from there, it's a conversation rather than having to project my beliefs onto someone else. I don't need to do that. We don't need to validate our experience through someone else. There are experiences for ourselves. And even so, I welcome people to be skeptics on your own beliefs, because there's many times when you think you experience something it didn't turn out to actually be what you thought. And then you find out down the road that it was something entirely different. So skepticism is healthy, denialism is not.
Have you had the experience, like, we love this topic and we talk about it all the time, but have you met someone that kind of like you recognize the story is not truthful, or that happened to you in your
Like
life when you
their
encounter
story?
something? Yeah, when you've encountered people that is not what your instinct is telling you something is not right there. Have you had that experience before?
Yes. And at the same time, you have to be receptive to them too, because they're going through their own experience. And I am not here to dictate what other people's believe. Now, you can produce facts, you can have a discussion about facts, but opinions are they belong to ourselves. So allow people to share their stories, allow them to have their beliefs. You can produce facts, but you don't want to be so combative, or else it
Yeah.
almost makes it so that there's no opening for them to come to a new belief, if that makes sense. They'll hold on to it because they don't want to feel embarrassed or that they were wrong. And what if I've learned anything, I've learned that I've been wrong more in life than right, and that's okay.
Mhm. That's very
Yeah.
good. Respect is big. So we have to respect others, the way they think, they see things, they see our world, and even when we feel something is not right, right? So yeah, I totally agree with you. Respect is very important. Christy, you were gonna say something?
Oh, yeah. I was just going to agree that it's so important to respect people's free will, especially on this topic, because we could actually do more harm than good if we're
Mm,
talking to somebody and opening their mind to some of these ideas. And when they're not cognitively ready, it could really hurt their psyche. Like, for example, chemtrails.
mhm,
If you do the research on chemtrails, you find out, wow, this is so terrible. How could this be happening? And if you talk to that about someone who's not ready to hear that, they might lose sleep for weeks on end. You might start an anxiety in them that they never asked for. So we do have to tread with care.
exactly. Yeah, respect is very important. And Eli, I really think you have a mission, a big mission on planet Earth. What do you think your mission is? How
Mm.
can you tell us?
Okay, I feel like there's many missions, right? And it's about hitting all those goals. But
Mm-hmm. But your
I feel like
mission.
my mission is here to uplift others, uplift my soul group. I'm just here to help as much as I can and learn. But I do believe some of the more grounding missions I am here to do is educate people about what's happening on this planet, becoming more consciously aware and helping others become more consciously aware so that our entire society and our group consciousness can go ahead and extend into higher levels. It's going to happen. It's not a question of if. The planet is being bombarded by higher energy fields as it traverses through the solar system. So it's an inevitability. And
Mhm.
really, I feel the star seeds that are here today are here to ease that process for all the beings that are here, whether it's humans or animals, non-terrestrials, multidimensionals. We're all going through the same process and we all affect each other like tuning forks. So it helps our cosmic brothers as well.
When you say educate people, what is happening here, are you referring to the higher energy, or how are you educating people?
Yeah,
Like,
from everything from, our history, just to open them up to what's been really going on in our history that wasn't taught in our school system,
mm-hmm,
to the meditation
mm-hmm,
guidance that I provide and just educating them on, the subtle energies of the body, crystal attunements. I mean, there's so many different things to educate people with. And in the process, I'm learning from people too. So there's that. And of course, the higher energy fields that we are being exposed to, we are gaining access to this fifth dimensional layering that we
mm-hmm.
didn't have as much attunement to or much access to before in the past. But now we're entering a time period where we're ascending into higher energy fields. higher dimensions.
Very interesting that you mentioned history. What is your favorite topic regarding history? When you say history, you say there's some elements that perhaps people do not know about our history, right? But what is your favorite topics in regards to that?
I love that question. I love mythology, number one, so that will always have a good place in my heart. But I think one of the most fascinating time periods that we can discuss is the time of Lumeria. This is prior to Atlantis. This was during a time before the Great Deluge or the Great Flood, where humanity was at a certain level of consciousness. And when the floods occurred and the destruction of Lumeria took place, the people scattered throughout the world, and it actually became all the different cultures that we have today, from Egypt to everything that went on, like the you mentioned the Aztecs and the Great Aztlan culture. I mean, we spread everywhere, and so I think that's a fascinating time period to look into, because we don't have much material that we can really reflect on that, but yet we have it in the Akashic records, or we have this great memory of this place that we were once all at.
That's very interesting. So before our civilization, it was the Atlantis, and before the Atlantis was the Lumerians.
Lumerians, yes.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Yeah, we don't have much about that. So what is your sources for that?
Well, there are many researchers that have dabbled into it, so I've been learning from them. But my first introduction to it, believe it or not, came from a meditation I was having with a quartz crystal. And through this meditation, I was actually shown a great wave that destroyed the city. So that was something that I actually saw just from my own traveling to. But as far as, like I said, evidence, it's under the sea. There's no artifacts that we have, maybe somewhere under the Vatican, or somewhere that no one has access to. Maybe there is something, but most of it comes from the stories of Atlantis and the following aftermath of the destruction of Atlantis, of those that went to Egypt. So a lot of it comes from that. The great city Atlantis was also talked about by Plato as well. So there's stories of Atlantis that therefore will point you back to a time period that was well before recorded history, at least the we think of.
Yeah, I was going to show you a book that I'm reading about this, but I couldn't find it. Sorry. But it talks actually about very interesting, but because we don't have much about Lemuria and Atlantis, but this book actually mentions those civilizations, and they even talk about extraterrestrial exchange. Like a student exchange programs, kind of like somebody comes from another planet, and they come here, and people from planet Earth as well, they go there. But in this book that I'm reading, is just it was very incredible to see. I do not know if the story is like true. It's just like they are sharing this, but I thought just by mentioning this, actually it make a great story, about this incredible contact that they used to have. They used to visit each other and help with things like even the cultivation of plants and stuff like that, food and other stuff. So this is very impressive that you mentioned history. And then sometimes I feel that we don't even know our own history, and of course, like Lemurians and Atlantis, but sometimes we don't even know how everything started with we are the generation from Adam, right? Adam and Eve, like we belong to this generation, right? But sometimes we don't even know the origins, exactly how everything started. And then if we go like even, you know, um, you know, uh, ancient times, whatever, for Lumerians in Atlantis, it gets complicated. So, so what is your take on that, Gary?
Yeah, where would you even start? Um, I think when we talked about go back a little bit about talking to other people and listening to what they have to say and their truths, and not uh, degrading them or whatever for whatever they're saying. Uh,
Mhm.
the thing is, I kind of when you look at pop culture today and the way people are handling things, if you just look at uh, what's happening in the country with young people, their rock music, whatever they're into, all that stuff. That and you go to television and you look at television, all it's kind of like there to dumb you out. It's to keep your time busy doing this stuff, but not to think about anything that's really important. Just
Mhm.
music, culture, whatever. What's the Kardashians doing, or all that silly stuff. But a phrase came to my mind. I read a book a number of years ago, and I'm rereading it now. The Brian Scott story, Transformation of a Common Man.
Mhm.
Uh, Read that back in 2008, and it was about a guy that was visited South America, and he was transformed at the gateway to the sun to a higher intelligence level called the Noos. Noos 1, we are,
Mhm.
Greek used to call it, you could get up to go Noos 10, which would be like God level. And basically, a alien joined him named Voltar, and Volta's one of his favorite phrases was that today, I'll just read it the way it says, man is two men in one, or two persons is one. One is awake in the darkness, and the other is asleep in the light.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when
That's
you're
well
here
said.
in the light, you're seeing things, you're active with this, and you're just getting all this garbage, you know, the mushrooms in the dark stuff they talk about. And I look at that, and then you try to talk to somebody on a level that's higher or different than that, and they just look at you dumb. Like I go, okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's kind of my thought on that. You really, um, I'm into ancient history too, and following what Sitchin had written and other people. You kind of really get an idea that they don't want us to know what's really happening. Just keep us quiet and keep us happy, and busy with television and all that stuff. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
and the challenge, it all harkens back to what Eli was talking about, is if you have a persistent and consistent meditation practice, you can really cut through a lot of the BS with your intuition. So you can kind of feel who is on the level and who is less than scrupulous with their facts, because we know a lot of this material comes from downloads and it comes from remote viewing, as well as people being
Mhm.
contacted
Yeah.
in the dream state.
yeah.
So we really have to get into that meditation practice so we can really hone in on, okay, does this pass the sniff test?
Mhm.
Yes. So I really feel like our world is changing a lot. So what I see, Eli mentioned higher energy, but I think our way to behave, to be conduct ourselves, it is changed. I see more people more into the spiritual, realm, like spiritual stuff, but not so much like many years ago. Everything was very religious. You go to a church and you follow this, and that. And right now it's just that I see at least here in my community a lot of yeah, spiritualism. Like people follow the more, not the rules, but it go with the essence of the spirituality about God. I believe it's good, but I don't know your thoughts on this, but I feel like that my as well myself, I belong to that. I'm more spiritual than religiously, like going to church and this, do this, that, and that. So and I see that as well. Social media is helping us a lot because now we know what's going on everywhere, right? I know what's going on in Venezuela. I know what's going on in Argentina, many places on earth. It's difficult to see things in Cuba because they don't have freedom to express in that sense like us. But I think as well, by connecting to other human beings, and so we can see what we are doing. I think there is we are helping each other as well. Just to go, we have this concept of New Earth. I don't know if you hear it before, New Earth. And there's another concept that I do not like too much is the what is the La Nueva Agenda Mundial, the new world agenda. That's what it's in English.
New
The
World
Mm.
Order.
yeah, the new world order. Yeah, that I don't like it so much because they try to decrease the population, right, and so many other things. But I think little by little we are advancing, to a new era. We are going to a new era, a new place. So, what do you think about that? Since you were talking about this, Eli, this you feel your mission is to educate people, right? To let them know what's going on, right? So, when you talk about even our solar system, our sun, what it's doing, like bringing these so many energy and stuff. How do you explain this, to the common people when you
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned the sun. So the sun is probably one of the most important, I call it a being, the most important, even a consciousness that we can interact with. It
mm,
brings life to this planet. And if you connect consciously with the sun, which is a meditation practice that I do every day now when we do have the sun out in the morning, and then when it's at noon at its midpoint, and then at the dusk when it's about to set. You go outside, you do a meditation, and you just take in the energies from the sun, and it revives you. It gives you, vital energy. It's amazing what it can do to take your stress levels away and just make you feel so much better. But it's doing that for the whole planet, for all the beings on this planet.
mm,
And the sun itself is also going around the galaxy. So it doesn't just stay in place. We're going on this
mm,
giant carousel. And when the sun reaches certain points in the galactic planes, there's more highly charged particles compared to other regions in the galaxy. So scientists have said that we have been going through more higher phases of energy in the galaxy, but it also makes it so the sun starts to act a lot more hyperactive, more solar flares, more chances of coronal mass ejections. There's so many different changes that the sun goes through, and that has uh, direct influences on the Earth that we all can feel. So
yes,
that's why I say we don't really have a choice. So it's like leaving the tea kettle on the stove. The
mm,
heat will eventually make the tea kettle whistle. And that's why I think we're going through so much turbulence now too, with everything that's happening on the planet. So people are awakening and becoming more spiritual. And then we're also experiencing a lot of chaos, a lot of, destruction to the planet too. And those are actually related very much so.
yes. The powerful vitamin D, right? The sun will need. Yes. And just to wrap up, what can you tell us about your essence, share with us a little bit about your mission, but what is next for Eli? So what's coming?
Okay. Well, yeah, as far as my current status, I'm just really kind of toning myself right now with a lot of the inner work, and then also wanting to keep doing the CE5 work or contact work that we're doing. Ultimately, what it's leading towards is a time where other beings, non-terrestrial beings, do come to the planet and work with certain individuals. We've decided and chose this before we even incarnated many of the star seeds. In fact, I'm not surprised if many in this panel are also part of that group, from what we've talked about on previous occasions. But there is going to be a time when we are open to the solar system, open to the galaxy, open to these other beings, and the Earth is going to become a much more pleasant place, a much more peaceful place. And we're going to have these interactions with our star family and star people. And it's going to be a beautiful experience, but we're going to go through the shadow of the night to get there. Okay. We have to shed away the things that were holding us back. There's old lessons that we are having to go through. And that's okay. That's part of the process. It's part of what we talked about, the skepticism. You have to respect one another. You know, there's going to be big shakeups when it comes to the religious establishment, political establishments across the world. And that's okay. And that's part of our process, is to become more loving, more understanding, so we can guide everyone during this transition period.
Interesting. You know, when I asked you about the encounters, you mentioned that you are very powerful in your dreams, and you see things, you know. But have you had any, like, something more physical, any encounter that you can mention? Oh my gosh, this is very powerful, or I just felt this, or, you know, this happened. Do you have any story like that? Like,
I do. If I can have a couple minutes to say, one of my
mm,
favorite experiences was actually in Israel at the Holy
mm,
Mount. There's a wall there called the Wailing Wall, or the Hakotel. It is part of the Second Temple built by Solomon, or during that time when
mhm.
Solomon was king. And at that time, I had just received my first activated crystal skull, which I actually have right here. This is Rosie. So
Whoa, nice.
yeah, so I received her, and I took her to the wall where a lot of people pray, and it's a spot where it's one of the most high energy places I've ever been to in the world. I can't think of another place that has this type of energy. You are
Mm,
talking about within a square mile, where three of the major religions gather at holy sites: the Dome of the Rock, the Wailing Wall, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Jesus was brought after the
mhm,
crucifix. But it's an amazing place. So I went there to pray and to just bring my prayers from friends and family. And there was a part where I was at the wall doing my meditation and prayers, where there was a little hole right in front of me. So I took Rosie and I said, why not? And I took her and I placed her into this little hole there. She fit perfectly. And all of a sudden, the whole wall changed energy and became this beautiful magenta. And the energy from the skull just infused the entire area. And it was just a very beautiful experience overall, but it was just shocking to feel that energy. And after that, after I was done, it was about a 2 hour process, 2 hour meditation.
mm,
I was just waiting for my family, just taking in the scenery. This was in daytime, broad daylight. Uh,
mm.
all of a sudden, I noticed maybe a few hundred feet above the Dome of the Rock, above where I was, I see this gray craft, we'll call it, metallic shining craft, no blinking lights, no sound, just coming and hovering towards the Dome of the Rock right above where we were. And there was a few clouds, not many. And I'm looking around me and no one's noticing this thing. There's people there, I mean, hundreds of people with their friends and family and children. No one's noticing this thing. I'm just looking at it, and then it stays there. It's hovering, and it stayed there for a few minutes, just hovering. And I just, witnessed it, observed it, stayed with it. And all of a sudden, it started to slowly go up and up and up. And it went all the way up until it was no longer visible. And that to me was a form of confirmation. And if I can just share that, because that's what's important, is we're going to have these spiritual experiences that you may be able not to see it, but you're going to feel it. You might see it in your mind's eye, in your dreams, in your waking meditation, but there will always be a physical manifestation in order to corroborate, in order to confirm your experience. And for me, that felt like that was my confirmation of the work I was doing there that day.
That is very impressive. And but make me think. So you were able to see, you know, everything that was happening there. The other people were not able to see what you were seeing.
It was as if no one looked up, no one saw it. And that was one thing that puzzled me. I was wondering why no one paid attention to it. And it wasn't something
Mm,
that was very small. It was maybe the larger than what a helicopter would be. But like I said, no sound, no noise, and it went directly up. And anything that goes in a horizontal pattern, but then shoots up vertically. It wasn't like it shot up and blinked out, but I mean, it went all the way up till you couldn't see it anymore. And so I don't know of any conventional aircraft that do
Mhm.
that type of flight pattern. But
Mhm.
no one saw it. And at that point, I also realized, maybe no one could see it. Maybe I was in a state of mind, in a state of
Mhm.
consciousness that it was only elevated so that I can make this connection because I was already getting into that realm. I was already getting access into that dimensional plane.
Right.
Yeah, you raised your vibration high enough to meet them in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Gary, you were gonna say something?
I was thinking the same thing along that same lines there, that it was only meant for you to see anyway, probably
Yes.
because of what you'd done on the wall with Rosie and that was the culmination of it to say, we recognize you or something.
Yeah, something interesting definitely happened that day. And I've been to that wall many times in Israel, but that was the first time I ever actually went underneath the wall too after that occasion. So it was a very special day in Jerusalem that I had there. And for those that have never been, it's the most amazing place in the world. It's you have
You
the
can walk behind it. You can kind of go
you
underneath behind it.
you can go underneath the wall and you see these stones that are 200 tons each, and you just think we didn't put these there, or I don't know how we put these there. And so it's a magnificent city. So yeah, that was an experience I won't forget for sure.
Yes, I love Israel, by the way. I had the opportunity to go there, and there's something about the atmosphere, the energy there that is just incredible. I love it. I feel really, really I feel peace, calm. It's a different feelings. So I really like it. And yeah, but someone shared through, I follow Jason Shurka. I don't know if you know who he is, but they said that the Garden of Eden is here somewhere physically in Iraq, kind of like in that area. And they were saying that you need to be prepared, but not just mentally, your eyes, your everything needs to be prepared to be able to see that. Not everyone can see kind of like the other dimension that is already here, things that are here, but you need to be in another level in order to see more. Maybe that's what happened to you, like this. You were able to connect, with this UFO and all this experience, but I feel that you have to be in that level, to feel what's going on, so yeah, so this is, by the way, I love Israel. The food, that there is a connection there, very, very strong, that I don't know why it comes. I'm Mexican, so
May I
but
share a map? I actually have a map that has the Garden of Eden on it.
really,
I do. I have it. It's right here.
Is it sort of like Jordan,
oh,
Lebanon?
let's see.
Let's see.
Put
Put it
it
up there again.
against you, in your chest, yeah, like that.
Yeah, let's
We
make
can
you,
make it.
I'm gonna pin you.
Okay, it's right here.
Mm-hmm.
Hold it up higher.
Oh, I see.
Up, not,
Like
closer to your head.
stand up, yeah,
Closer to
stand
your
up,
face.
and before, like
Closer,
stand up.
closer, closer. No, I don't know where you went.
No,
There we
like
go.
go down, yeah,
There
like
we are.
that. Where is it in the map? Somehow,
So
where is it?
it is right up at the top of the Persian Gulf.
Persian Gulf. Okay.
It's in between Fishon River
Mhm.
and it's and Pastigirth River,
Oh,
where they connect. They cross where they connect,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's right in between the Persian Gulf and
Mhm.
that Pishon River.
Huh.
Mm.
So it has been established where it was.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah,
Somebody's established that.
Yeah, someone had.
yeah. Very interesting. It's like this theory, like if you go under the South Pole, they claim you can go to another, um, you know, um, the Atlantis or somewhere. I don't know. I hear that story too. If you continue
Portal,
traveling, yeah,
maybe a
another
portal.
portal. Yeah. So anyway, so Eli, Thank you very much. I was gonna say in Spanish, but no, Eli, right? So thank you very much for being here. I really love actually your connections where we used to go, Gary and Christy, myself. We used to go with your bowls, like the music,
Yeah, the singing bowls.
Mhm.
yeah, that is
That was
incredible.
Verdi's.
Yeah, that was even make me my soul shake, like my body, the vibration of that thing is very powerful. I really love it. Do you still do it?
Yes, but like I said, I'm in this state of learning right now, so I can kind of enhance that experience. So, have some patience, and we'll gather again, and your soul will shake.
Yeah,
Okay, my friend. Yes, there's more to be coming, especially as the warmer weather or the weather warms up, and yeah, we'll meet again.
excellent. Great. So great chat talking to you. It was excellent. Thank you very much, Ely, for being here. I admire everything you do, and I know that every time we see you, you have something new is going on, something, is coming. So I really love your energy and everything you are doing. You're great, and thank you for being here tonight. So Gary and Christy, anything else you would like to say?
Nope.
I
Very
No?
interesting.
wonder. Oh, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, I just was saying was very interesting. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So Eli, you were talking about how you were seeing a lot of UFOs in your dream state, and and you were also seeing them physically. So you explained in great detail about the UFO that you saw in Israel, and that one you felt that was three-dimensional. It wasn't trans-dimensional or atmospheric, like you could see through it. It was actually here.
Yes, it was like I said,
Solid.
it seemed like metallic. Like if another person I wanted to mention for the viewers, Edward Meyer, also known as Billy Meyer,
Hmm.
he has taken a lot of famous photos in 1970s, I believe it was. That it looked something similar of that origin, so metallic.
Yeah. So the other crafts that you've seen, were they also three-dimensional, or were some of them like ghost-like, you could see through it, like transparent?
Yeah,
Translucent.
there's another craft, another experience I had. This was prior to my time when I went to Israel and had that experience. I was in Idlewild, California, which is also a very sacred place. And it was the experience I had was I was not alone. I was with a old spouse of mine, and she saw it as well. And it was during dusk, and it was this most beautiful. To this day, I've never encountered an energy this mystic before. It was this stream of turquoise with a tail. The craft itself, I call it a craft. It was more of a light. The light was of a brilliant turquoise, but the tail extended maybe 50 feet from it as it streamed low across the horizon. No light or no blinking lights, no sound. And the energy that it gave off was so loving that it almost like takes you back to a time of like Excalibur, and I don't know how else to describe it, but maybe you can just feel it off me. Till this day, that energy stayed with me, and it was just so peaceful and loving and pure, and the way that it like emanated through the hills and the sunset, it was just beautiful. So that was not a metallic craft for sure, maybe at its core, but it didn't come off that energy. It felt more like pure light.
So Eli, this is the strangest coincidence. When I had that magical moment up in the mountains on a rock, it was Idlewild. I was camping with my family. I had just wandered off. It was Idlewild.
Interesting.
I know. It was
Yeah,
like
beautiful place.
gorgeous place.
Last time I saw you was at you were volunteering at Stephen Gurr's new movie coming out.
Oh yeah,
Right.
I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
last
a
summer.
great night. That was a last minute event. I got asked to join and volunteer like I believe 2 days before it happened. It was
Uh,
very last minute. I got to meet Greer and do the VIP lounge thing, and that was an experience.
yeah, that was very interesting to me. I thought he was going to talk about ETs, UFO, but it mainly was free energy.
Yeah, well, that's what it's about, right? I mean, the secret that ETs are here is not the secret. The secret is how they got here and what type of technologies they have and how that can change the planet, because that's what's being hidden or suppressed, which is going to be coming out. It's no longer going to be suppressed, and it's just coming out. That's it. There's no way around it as well, because people are going to streamline it and put it on a blockchain, or they're going to get the data and information out so anyone can produce it. So it's going to happen.
Yes. Great topic, free energy. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, well, thank you very much and have a wonderful night. So we'll see each other in another gathering. So thank you.
Yes. All right. Bye,
Goodbye,
friends.
everyone.